So, there's a new set of university rules in India, and it's causing a huge stir. Let's get right into it and unpack what all the controversy is about with these UGC Rules 2026.
And I mean, right from the get-go, these rules have just lit a fire. It's a really fierce, polarized debate. You've got students, faculty, administrators, everyone in the academic world is reacting. And it seems like nobody is neutral on this one.
This quote right here is from Dr. Nishith Rai, and his analysis is what we're really digging into today. The conversation, especially online, has gotten, well, pretty intense. When you see words like dystopian and draconian being thrown around, you know the stakes feel incredibly high for everyone.
So that really brings us to the big question, right? What's the real story behind these controversial new rules? Are they a much-needed tool for justice, or are they a massive overreach that could have some really dangerous consequences? We're going to try to peel back all those layers and get to the truth.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we have to start where the UGC, that's the University Grants Commission, starts, and that's with the Indian Constitution. Their official line is, hey, these rules aren't brand new ideas, they're just about enforcing the law of the land.
Yeah, they're pointing specifically to these two fundamental articles. The claim is that these are just administrative guidelines, a playbook to make sure that these big ideas, equality, non-discrimination, are actually happening in real life on every single campus.
Which, of course, leads to the obvious question, if the constitutional stuff has always been there, why the big push for these rules now? Well, the main reason they're giving is data. They're pointing to a big spike in discrimination complaints on campus.
And here it is. This is the big, flashy number that's got everyone talking. A 118.4% increase in reported cases. I mean, wow. When you just see that number, it looks incredibly alarming. It makes you think something has to be done, and fast.
But you know how it is with statistics, right? Context is everything. A huge percentage can tell one story, but the actual numbers behind it might tell a totally different one. So, let's ask, is this number really as alarming as it sounds? And this is where things get really interesting. Let's look behind that percentage. The number of complaints went from 173 to 378. Now that's an increase for sure, but in a country with over 43 million students, that comes out to less than one complaint for every 10,000 students. So the analysis suggests that maybe, just maybe, this isn't a massive spike in incidents, but actually a spike in reporting, thanks to new tools like the e-Samadhan portal that make it easier for students to speak up.
Okay, so even if the intentions are good, the way these rules are actually set up is raising some serious red flags. And this gets us to the absolute core of the criticism, the fear of unintended consequences, consequences that could be deeply unfair to students.
A huge fear here is something called summary justice, basically rushing to a verdict. See, the rules put universities on a really tight deadline to resolve complaints. And if they don't, they could lose funding. That puts a ton of pressure on administrators to just get it done, and maybe act way too fast without a proper investigation.
And this is where we have to draw a really important line in the sand, the line between security and punishment. Look, making sure a complainant is safe during an investigation, maybe by changing their dorm, that makes sense. But punishing the accused person before the investigation is even finished? We're talking about suspending them, pulling their scholarship. That's a whole different ballgame. It feels a lot like guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around.
And listen, this isn't just some academic debate. This hits on fundamental legal principles. Even India's Supreme Court has weighed in on this kind of thing, saying that taking action without a real inquiry can violate someone's personal liberty. They've warned that you need checks and balances, otherwise these processes can just turn into tools for harassment. So, with all these very real concerns on the table, where do we go from here? Well, the good news is, the analysis doesn't just point out the problems. It actually offers a way forward. A path to tweak these rules to make them both effective and fair.
It really boils down to three key recommendations. 1. Bring back safeguards to prevent people from misusing the rules or making false complaints. 2. And this is the big one, you must have a preliminary investigation before you can take any serious action, like a suspension. And 3. Make sure that fairness and due process apply to everyone involved, the person making the complaint and the person being accused.
When you strip it all away, this entire debate really boils down to one incredibly difficult question. How do you build a system that protects the vulnerable without throwing away the principle of innocent until proven innocent? It's like walking a tightrope, trying to balance safety for everyone with a core pillar of justice. And figuring out how to walk that line Well, that's the real challenge here.